A little under a week ago, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson was in Washington, D.C., along with mayors from Denver, Houston, and Los Angeles, asking for $5 billion in federal funding to deal with the Biden-made migrant crisis. And upon seeing this, I couldn't help but to wonder how far along the black community would be if these black mayors, Brandon Johnson from Chicago, Karen Bass from Los Angeles, and Sylvester Turner from Houston, actually fought as had for the black community that they claim to represent as much as they did for so-called migrants, many of which crossed the border illegally. What a sight that would be to see. But unfortunately, that's pure fantasy, because that's not what black politicians do. In America, black politicians fight on behalf of everyone else while ignoring the black population at large. The role of the black politician in relation to the black community is simply to manage black America, to keep them in line, under control, and mindlessly voting Democrat just to get nothing in return for their votes. Hence is why the black community is in the current state that it is, a state of despair. And as long as you have mayors like Brandon Johnson going to Washington fighting harder for so-called migrants than he does for black Chicago, then you can expect nothing to change. The role of the black politician in relation to the black community is simply to manage black America, to keep them in line, under control, and mindlessly voting Democrat just to get nothing in return for their votes. And this is precisely the reason why the black community continues to remain in a never-ending state of despair. By hook or by crook, black America must find a way to either get these politicians to bend the knee to their will or vote them out and replace them with true grassroots politicians that will actually represent them. Secondly, black America must do this while also engaging in extra political means to achieve their goals as a community. And if we are unable to do this, then we can expect black mayors like Brandon Johnson to always fight harder for everyone else than he does for black Chicago. And speaking of fighting harder for everyone else more than for black Chicago, let's now get into the details of Mayor Johnson's visit to Washington. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson was in Washington, D.C. on Friday to join a handful of other big city mayors to ask the Biden administration for $5 billion more in federal funding for aid to migrants. Johnson joined mayors from Denver, Houston, and Los Angeles, who are all pushing for more federal funding. He said the full wraparound services for thousands of migrants in Chicago are costing the city $40 million per month, a figure that is not sustainable. CBS 2's Sabrina Franza reported on how the expense is largely why Johnson and the other big city mayors headed to Washington. The group met with Biden administration officials to express the urgency of the migrant crisis. Johnson said the city is projected to have spent over $300 million on asylum seekers by the end of this year. The $40 million that it's costing the city of Chicago every single month to provide care for these individuals who are seeking asylum, that is not sustainable, he said. The mayor's trip included a visit with the Illinois House delegation and a meeting with senators while the process to balance next year's city budget is ongoing at City Hall. Aldermen have expressed concern over how the city can continue to pay for the migrant crisis in addition to supporting the city's regular functions. Chicago has spent $116 million welcoming migrants as of September 29th, 2023, but that doesn't include spending by the Chicago Park District, $270,000, Chicago Public Schools, $1.4 million, and Cook County Health, $15.8 million. Previously, the city estimated they would be facing a funding gap between $158 million to $201 million just to cover the rest of migrant support this year. In a letter, the big city mayors have asked the Biden administration for $5 billion. Biden has only asked Congress for $1.4 billion. They also asked for accelerated approval of work authorization and a more coordinated entry process for migrants. This is all at the president's door, said Alderman Nicholas Sposato, 38th. He's not doing anything. He's given us something that's not sustainable. CBS 2's Mugo Odigwe reports the trip also comes as the mayor faces opposition at home over the city's handling of the crisis. Some of that opposition will come in the form of a protest Thursday afternoon in the Morgan Park neighborhood. Community activists will speak out against the city's plan to build a base camp for migrants on 115th and Halsted. The Committee on Housing and Real Estate earlier this week backed a proposal to have the city purchase a 6.5-acre site from Juul's parent company, Albertsons, for $1 to use the site to set up a so-called base camp of winterized tents for up to 1,400 asylum seekers. Community activists argue it's a safety issue. They also want to file an injunction against the city. Meanwhile, the Johnson administration has been tight-lipped about reports that the old Museum of Broadcast Communication in River North could be used to house migrants. The mayor was asked about it 3 times Wednesday, and he wouldn't budge, only saying his team is looking at lots of spaces. Now really think about what I just stated a few seconds ago. The Committee on Housing and Real Estate earlier this week backed a proposal to have the city purchase a 6.5-acre site from Juul's parent company Albertsons for $1 to use the site to set up a so-called base camp of winterized tents for up to 1,400 asylum seekers. The city purchased 6.5 acres of land for $1. Look at the way Brandon Johnson is moving mountains for the so-called migrants. Now, can anyone honestly say that he's doing the same for Black Chicago? I'll let you all answer that question in the comments section below. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. I also have a Telegram group now, so if you have Telegram, make sure to hit the link in the description box below as well as pin in the comment section to join my Telegram group. And also, please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as an insurance plan for myself, so in case YouTube ever gives me the axe, I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the #1 way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those of you who have issues with joining Patreon, you can also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.